And I can tell you, walking along a road many years ago, chatting away with a person that's not even interested in paranormal.
Nuts and bolts.
Yeah,
person,
absolutely, 100%.
We
were walking along and just chatting away, and we had all of a sudden, we had the most awful, I'd never ever want to feel that again. It was the more absolute 100% evil feel. Something were with us.
You say evil, describe that. You know,
to describe it in a word, it's really difficult. It were the road we were walking along were an actual road that buses use, so it weren't like we weren't in a quiet,
right,
countrified
place.
Yeah,
no houses.
We were on the main road, and everything just stopped. Every sound, and it was that noticeable. You chat, and everything were completely still, and it was only 9:45. It weren't even like early hours of morning, and it was like, imagine a piece of blotting paper. If you put it down on an ink spill, and it goes on and it just goes out. It were going bigger and bigger around us, and it was the most awful feel that it frightened you, and you didn't know why, and you knew something absolutely awful with her, and you were expecting it to just grab you, do what it were going to do.
So what'd you do?
And it was the most awful feeling. We ran back down road and back in.
Literally ran? We
ran, and we couldn't get away quick enough, and we ran back into the house and shut the door and locked it, and one of the people was a man.
Okay. So you both felt exactly the same
Absolutely.
thing at exactly the same time?
Absolutely.
When you got back into the house, what happened? Did it lift? Did it feel better?
It was totally different.
Did you go back outside afterwards?
No, not for a couple of hours. When we did go out, everything. But I have to say, we didn't go up the same route. We went the other way.
Right, but when you did, everything was
just normal. I don't know what that were, but it was the most awful. I would never ever like to feel that again.
Okay.
It was the most awful thing.
What do you make of that, Martin?
Well, I was just about to come to a point. So you and the gentleman in question felt exactly the same feeling, at exactly the same time, and had exactly the same reaction. One being you has always been very receptive to the paranormal and ideas.
I weren't then.
Right, so you've never always welcomed it with open arms, so to speak.
No.
I'll just cut in there just to be clear for the people listening. Has you been drinking or taking any drugs?
No. The only thing we'd have were a pot of tea.
So you had no.
No.
Yeah, but were it like space tea? Yeah.
No.
So there were
Just
no
a
drugs,
brew.
no alcohol.
No.
So one, have you always had an interest in the paranormal?
Not
at that time. Did you have an interest?
No. Never even give it a second thought.
So it were essentially two non-believers experiencing a mutual feeling of terror,
dread.
We were actually walking up that road, and we were talking about the latest records. What were, Beatles were
on the hit parade.
Average chat is.
Yeah. But I will say that the road we were walking up, strangely enough, we were walking past the house where the lady that I told you about earlier on,
with the 11-year-old daughter down the stairs.
Yeah. We were walking past that house.
Is this before that had happened or afterwards?
Before.
How long before?
Just let me think.
So it weren't a question of it were that spooky house where things happened and your judgment could have been coloured by that?
The thing with the thing picking the child up and throwing it downstairs didn't happen for about 6 or 7 years later.
Wow.
So would that lead you to believe it's kind of a hotspot then for activity?
Quite possibly. That particular house, since that lady left it lock, stock and barrel, and she had a lovely home, and she left everything. They just took a bag with a change of clothes in. Never went back to that house.
Now, in fairness, that is fear. That is blind panic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's rational fear, that.
Yeah.
And that is a lady that, did the Ouija board for years. So she knew about spirits, and she... You know what I mean? It weren't like she'd had No. But she left that night, and in fact, they were that frightened, she left and went to Cumbria and moved in with her ex-husband that she never got along with.
Wow.
And because they'd nowhere else to go, and she wouldn't stay there. But it were walking up that road where we felt that. But like I said, it was 67 years after that. The poltergeist.
So this is way before these events are.
But it was just the most awful, and I'll tell you what it did. It was that immensely awful, that feeling. You felt physically sick as well.
Have you ever felt anything like it since?
No, thank goodness.
Martin, have you ever? Could you put yourself in that position? Have you ever felt that kind of oppressive terror, for want of a better word?
No, I don't think so.
I hope you never do.
Yeah, everyone, the human beings, were susceptible to mood swings and,
of course,
and different feelings, different emotions at different times. But I've never felt anything that has scared the wits out of me and made me want to run away from where I am.
If you did,
I can't really say too much on that because I've never experienced it.
If you did feel that, I'm sure some people have felt it anyway. But if you ever do, it'll leave you in absolutely no doubt at all that there are forces around us, and they're not all good.
We're massively overrun. We're going to be at half an hour, so thank you if you stuck with us up to now. We're going to bring it to a close shortly. This is our first paranormal podcast. The email address for your comments will follow shortly. Again, we'll accept that there's spirits, we'll accept that you may be able to communicate with some of them. That brings us on, just to sum up, to mediums, people who claim to be able to stand there and have some sort of ability. They can either see the dead, a clairvoyant can see the dead person, a clairaudient can hear the dead person, and a clairsentient can assume feelings and feel what the person who's passed on perhaps died of, or can feel their emotions and can convey that. Now, I'll open this little segment by saying I, for a lot of years, went to the Spiritualist Church in Blackburn and saw various people stand up, some of whom, to be honest, I think were out and out frauds, fishers, people who had nothing to offer, some people who had flashes of stuff, and on many occasions I got messages, some of which made sense, some of which didn't, and the occasional person who did what I would say is the impossible, who proved to me that they had some sort of talent, whether it be being able to communicate with the dead, whether it was some sort of telepathy, whatever, mind reading, but they had some sort of gimmick, talent or ability that your average person can't do. So I'll open it by saying I believe that some people can. Martin, your thoughts on people who stand there and say, I'll put you in touch with your whoever?
I firmly believe that a very, very small minority of the general population have, I won't say a gift, but a heightened perception for certain, whether you want to call it channeling, mediumship, whatever you want to actually call it.
Yeah. An ability, let's call it an ability.
I do also believe that the people who are blessed with this ability or this gift don't openly advertise their wares. They don't treat the media as a shop window.
Okay.
I find a lot of people I know have experienced an evening with certain clairvoyants.
Indeed.
They've experienced a lot of the TV.
The celebrity mediums.
What I personally class as chicanery that comes across the airwaves.
These guys that you guys and women that actually come on TV purporting to be able to do something. Yeah.
I believe that true mediums, true clairvoyants, they don't advertise their wares. I believe that they see it. The genuine ones see it as more of a curse than a blessing, and they see it as an ability to help people. But they tend to. I find they tend to need to be sought out.
Yeah.
So anybody openly advertising their wares as a medium, or a psychic, or a clairvoyant, I'm immediately suspicious of.
Okay.
Because I do believe that the more genuine ones among them keep themselves to themselves, and they will rather be consulted than consult the nation.
Fair play. Right, Mary?
Well, you know, I have to say, I've never seen a medium yet that is totally convincing. Over years, one or two have fooled me for a while. One in particular, who's very blingy and
I told you from the word go, 30 seconds.
Yes, you did, but you know how they did it. It worked quite convincing.
Well, we can legitimately say, we can go on record as saying that this is our opinion. This isn't legally binding, and we're not making any accusations. But the person in question being Derek Okora, it is my belief. I truly believe, and it is my opinion that Derek Okora is nothing but a fake. I think he might have had a bit of someone at one point, but then I think he's
milked it to death.
As he found his feet in the media and more things were expected of him, I believe that he's turned on certain performances, and having had the pleasure of seeing him live,
yes,
he didn't do anything at all.
Nothing to give.
That gave me any sort of conviction that he could do it. So
I mean, for me, I watched him deliberately when he went on his paranormal journey to Egypt, and it was a better comedy because during them...
In your opinion, of course.
No, it was a comedy.
Okay.
Because during that... And very educational. Because during that particular series...
His jaunts.
I found out...
His jollies.
Yes. I found out... This is educational.
Okay.
That your Tutankhamons and company are Scousers.
Wow, they talked on a Scouse accent. Get out of town.
What I'd like to know is, did he have to pay Sam's airfare?
Don't be silly.
He might have counted as cabin baggage.
Yeah, maybe.
As an
Kept him in a bag or something.